I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about I don't want them to think I've moved on.
Oh. Well, before we get into it, I did want to say that Craig and I are available to talk about your situation specifically. So if you are interested in that, you can head to the website and book from there.
Absolutely. It's easy to do. It's the only way to get a one-on-one coaching with us is directly through the website. So this topic comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Where I know what you guys are thinking and feeling. You're afraid that if your ex thinks you've moved on, that they'll forget about you, that they won't try and come back. And so a lot of times people panic and want to reach out to their ex to say, hey, by the way, if you change your mind, give me a call. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you're afraid in no contact that if you don't tell your ex that if they change their mind to call you, that they won't. That is not the case. Okay?
And I understand that feeling because you want to make sure that you are available for your ex whenever they do change their mind because you want the relationship to work. So you're worried that if they think that you've moved on, that they're also going to move on, that they're just going to forget about you, that they're not going to consider you an option anymore.
And that they won't reach out.
Right.
But that's just not how people operate, okay? In general, most of the times, if they want to talk to you, it doesn't matter if you told them to reach out or not because they're anxious. Just like you get anxious, okay? Think about it. You're anxious, so you're constantly wanting to break no contact to reach out and talk with them. That's what happens with them. And that's exactly what you want to happen. Mm-hmm. But a lot of what you have to do in a breakup is the opposite of what you have to do, which is why it's so confusing. And which is why a lot of the breakup coaches get it wrong, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard because it's not what you would think.
Yeah.
You know, you think that if you make yourself more available, you try to communicate with them, you try to do all these tactics.
To repair.
Right.
Repair this
that
connection.
It's going to be the right
Make
thing.
a bid.
But you really have to consider their mental state at the time. And a lot of therapists will actually encourage clients to write letters to their exes to communicate because that's what we're taught in therapy school too, is communication is key. That's what you want to do. But you have to understand that the relationship is then ruptured. So that changes the dynamics completely.
Those are things that you can do while you're in the relationship, is trying to repair it and trying to connect and make bids to connect.
Right.
But once they've ended it, now it's a different ballgame altogether. Now your behavior has to be very different. And that's why it's so confusing. Okay? But having your ex think that you moved on, it's terrifying for you. But honestly, seeing how breakups go, that's what I want somebody to be afraid of. I want them to be afraid that you're going to move on. And I don't like to use like jealousy tactics and stuff like that because a lot of times it winds up blowing up. So it has to be more of a natural thing where you're naturally healing your attachment issues, getting more confident, processing the breakup, and then moving on in a natural way.
Right, and we're not saying to stuff the feelings of the breakup or to repress them or suppress them. We want to be very clear that we think it's so important to have a social support network, to have a therapist to talk to vent to. You know, I'm so pro therapy. I want to make it very clear. You know, I'm a huge advocate for therapy. And understanding the breakup dynamics can be very helpful for moving forward, especially if this is something that you want to repair at some point. For us, this is really about respecting another person's boundaries. And we'll say it over and over again till we're blue in the face. You know, when someone ends the relationship, we have to accept that because that's, you know, part of that person's rights. So it's something that we need to consider.
Yep. So we got an email coaching that we're going to go through today. They said, Dear Craig, I am finding the courses you offer and your advice so very helpful. Your work is making a positive difference in my life, and I'm glad I found you. If you remember, we had a phone call at the end of February. I explained that I had seen Andrea was consuming online content related to being in love. There were Taylor Swift songs such as Lover, where she sings about two people in love who make their own rules, such as keeping Christmas decorations up for a long time, something we had done. And other songs where one lover misses the other, and pins related to I wanted to see him again. I guess he meant Pinterest.
Maybe.
I want to see him again. Andrea has a habit of doing random Google searches for all sorts of advice. So I'm pretty sure he has access to her web browser somehow, and maybe the Spotify or something, and that's how he knows what's going on.
I see.
So many of you, because of technology, get a lot of information that you shouldn't have.
She's going to be logging in and saying how to get my ex back on there?
Yeah, stuff like that, and then he knows it. So, but, okay, he mentions let me just continue. You'll understand what I'm about to say. However, what is shown on there may also not be perfectly correlated, although tracking is switched on. I try not to Google on my phone so as not to influence what I am seeing with my own searches. Okay, so that's what I was trying to say, is that he has access to what she's looking at, so he's careful about how he searches on his phone so it's not mixing it up. And he's trying to get a clear picture of what she's really researching.
Wow.
Okay? As you and I discussed, I tried bumping into her and did so on Friday. She walked past me briefly saying hi, but I did not attempt to make contact. Okay, so I've done a number of calls with this guy, and basically they're at like the same university together, and so he sees her like once a week or something like that. Now, there was a spring break coming up, and I told him I wouldn't try to bump into her now because I don't think she's feeling it. They had some interactions. I said I would let her go on the spring break because it was something like a month. And I was like, let that time pass, and I think that will give her the time to miss you. But he didn't listen to me. He only heard the part about bumping into her, not... Because I was like, you can, but I think you should give it this month break to miss you. Because it was going okay, but not very good. So I really thought some time was going to help. But he didn't listen. Okay, that's the anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety here, which is why I'm trying to talk about, being afraid that your ex thinks you're going to move on. That's that anxiety there. It's all correlated to what's happening here. Okay, so I tried bumping into her. I did so on Friday. She walked past me briefly saying hi, but I did not attempt to make contact. I know I probably should not have, but I then briefly walked over and said hello. Which confused me because I'm like, wait a minute, didn't you just say you didn't make contact? And now you just said hi and made contact? And she told me she was in Candyland. Let's call it Candyland.
Okay.
That's just a former hometown for them.
Okay.
Right? For her last course meeting. She was quick to add that she would be back when I asked if this was her last day here ever. Okay, so he was afraid that she might not come back after the break. I can't remember exactly what was going on there, but he's got a lot of anxiety here. I left, thought about it all in the bathroom, took some deep breaths, and returned a second time.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh. He should have got out while he could. He got some information. She was going to return back after the break. But now he's going back in. What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, and I see you guys struggling with this. It's really hard to set limits when you are overflowing with emotions and emotions that you've been dying to share for months.
That's a great point.
Or longer. So it is hard to say, we've had a conversation, they're at a different place than I am, mentally, emotionally right now. Let me put some blocks to this so that I don't overflow. And
we push it.
Like, yeah.
We push it too much.
Yeah.
And this is a big mistake, guys. This is like a really big mistake, is pushing it.
It's so hard.
When they're not ready. You could have had a 5-minute phone call. It winds up going 45 minutes, and by minute 45, it's a disaster.
Right. And guys, remember that your intuition, your gut, is going to be off when you're feeling high levels of anxiety. It's going to be really hard to decipher, is what I'm feeling right now a meant to be type of moment, or is it just my anxiety convincing me that I need to force a situation that I want to happen? And I know this is so hard. I can imagine him going to the bathroom, having a moment to himself, thinking, I didn't have this catharsis like I thought I would in interacting with her. You know,
Once wasn't enough. He got greedy.
Yeah, it didn't go the way I planned,
Right.
or I feel the need, like I need to go finish what I was saying and you know, tell her the whole truth or whatever it is. So our brains and our anxiety can convince us, can motivate us to sometimes push the boundaries of others and push limits.
Yep. And it usually makes it worse. Okay. So he's in the bathroom. He's like, that didn't work. Let me go back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try again. So he goes back a second time, telling her a white lie about his lunch date having been canceled. Remember what I told you earlier about trying to force things? This is it. This is it. Trying to make somebody jealous, right? So this is going to be kind of confusing. Watch what happens in a minute. I don't know, it's kind of implying like it's a lunch date with a woman, right? Maybe he didn't mean it that way, but...
Not sure.
Either way, it might make somebody think he had a date that canceled on him. But watch, you'll see how it plays out more. I asked politely if she minded if I sat down and we chatted. This isn't going to go so good.
Ooh.
He was forcing it.
Yeah, and it's also the way that you're phrasing it. I know you're asking, hey, do you mind if I sit with you? But it might have been helpful to acknowledge just the tension there, because it seems like there's a lot that's been unsaid, and it puts someone in a difficult position when you're saying something like, do you mind if I blank? You know, it's a nicety to say, well, yes, of course, you know, come sit. He might have been able to approach it in a different lens by considering more of how she might be interpreting the tension, is what I mean.
Well, I know you get anxious and you want to do these things, but what I'm trying to get you to see is these things don't work.
And it's also in a public place.
It's a completely different scenario if he's sitting down and she says,
Right.
do I mind?
Agreed.
Do you mind if I sit with you? That's completely different, okay? But now she's just sitting there and you've basically pushed and forced yourself on her when she's going to be polite, but it's probably not going to go well. All right, so let's see what happens. He says, I did not feel anxious.
He might have not in the moment, and she might have been receptive. And sometimes we see this. We see that our ex is warm, and so that gives us the mental cue of keep going. It gives us a green light. So it sometimes causes us to push past our own boundaries and our own limits because we're thinking, oh, they're so receptive. They're so much warmer than I thought they would be.
I don't think he was consciously feeling that anxiety. He probably means that. But unconsciously, it's really the anxiety that's driving him to do this.
And that's been built up. Yeah.
And we had a friendly chat. She told me that she got into school, a different school, and she was back in town for that Saturday and staying with a mutual friend. We also joked around and the atmosphere was light and happy. She said her brother had visited and is doing well, and told me that her mom's health scare was a false alarm. She further inquired about my parents' health and explained that my aunt, whom had visited together a few times, tried to communicate with her via text, bonding along the lines of, from woman to woman, you know what I love about Harry? Let's just call him Harry.
Okay.
Like a son, but tell me, what are his negative characteristic qualities? And some random photos from the internet. So it sounded like the aunt was getting a little nosy. What do you like about Harry? What don't you like about Harry? She implied that she did not want that to continue. So the aunt was getting too nosy. Remember we say keep family out. I apologized and explained that my aunt is not doing well mentally and that I would talk to her. She complimented me on my new trousers and looked at them inquisitively. Women pay attention to those things.
Nice trousers.
Yeah.
Okay.
She asked me whether I was in exciting new locations. I told her that I wrote a new academic paper that my fellow academics liked and that I would be giving a lecture at a major university soon. She was very friendly and tried to say nice things. Andrea was then quick to point out that she had to leave and I wished her a good time with her school work. and went on my way without lingering or somehow feeling anxious about a situation ending, relative to what I have done before. My feelings were that it was friendly and positive and not overly close, although I could feel our connection was still there. It was definitely warmer than her ignoring my presence over lunch in late January, and also a bit better than the interaction that we had in late February and another time in January, where she just said hi and told me in an apologetic tone that she had been up since 6 a.m. and was running off to a meeting. What worries me is what happened this Saturday. I was out with a female friend on electric scooters. And those are fun. We rode them ourselves.
Yeah, we did.
There was video footage of us on Instagram riding electric scooters.
Yeah, that was fun.
We went and saw Dave Chappelle together.
Yeah, that's true.
And my friend was wearing my other helmet, which has a recognizable shape. Okay, so he's riding along with this other woman. What do you think's going to happen? I rode past Andrea as she stood on the sidewalk, which was a chance encounter. I said hello, and she said hello, but zipped past. My friend rode behind me, and my friend was wearing a helmet that Andrea could have recognized.
Interesting.
So now, she sees I'm out with another woman. And he thinks this is a bad thing, but Coach Craig disagrees. Right?
Okay.
Although my friend rode behind me, someone may have guessed we were out together. I worry that Andrea saw us together and is making inferences about me having moved on and seeing someone new. Well, she chose not to be with you. And quite honestly, I would want her to wonder where you're at and what you're doing.
Right.
You didn't purposely do this. You didn't purposely rub this in her face. You weren't intentionally making her jealous. You were just out living your life as you normally would. And that's a great thing. And if she sees that and wants to catastrophize and panic that she's going to lose you, good. Because if she doesn't do something about it, she is going to lose you. So why should you worry about her being afraid of losing you when she chose to lose you when she ended the relationship?
Right, and it's not like you were parading around some romantic gesture with your friend or doing anything purposeful or intentional, and I think that makes a really big difference. This is something that did happen organically, and that's a wonder and a curiosity that she may have organically about where you're at in the relationship. So as far as I'm concerned, you did nothing wrong here. You were polite to her. You didn't ignore her. You didn't say a mean comment or
you said
anything like
hi.
that. Yeah, you were polite, and so I agree. I think her being able to have a little bit of curiosity about what's going on in your life is a healthy thing.
I don't think this is bad at all. I think this is a positive thing because she hasn't tried to repair it with you. You've been nothing but friendly and polite, maybe a little too friendly because of that anxiety. But while I can understand your anxiety over this, I think that this was a good thing for her to see. That she can lose you, that you are living your life, that you are having fun, and that you're out with other women. It wasn't intentional. Guys, don't try and do this stuff intentionally. It'll backfire, right? That jealousy plotline usually makes things a lot worse. But this was not intentional. So I don't think there's anything bad here. Okay. Early this week, I saw content being advertised online about being friends with someone you're in love with and a Taylor Swift song about dumpees having moved on and the dumper feeling remorse, but also not being in a position to complain. Exile, I guess. I don't know if I know that song. Songs like Golden Thread, Connecting Two Lovers. See, he's obsessing too much. He's got too much information here. He's obsessing about the song she's listening to. Connecting two lovers while the dumper sends cards to the dumpy, congratulating them on babies, etc. That last one in particular has an LA theme, a place she and I had spent a lot of time in. She also has gotten shown pins related to the album Maroon, which is about faded romance with songs such as We Are Never Getting Back Together. He's so obsessed about the songs, it's going to make him crazy.
Yeah.
He's got too much information. It's going to make him nuts here.
And it seems like he's making some conclusions based off of these advertisements.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, advertisements do listen to
Your phone.
everything you're
They're
saying.
listening to us right now.
They probably are. No, but you don't want to read too much into things. It will drive you crazy.
Okay, she also seemed to have Googled our whole conversation, like all the things we did during the days Sunday the 25th through Tuesday the 27th. She was Googling their conversation. That's pretty bizarre. I guess she was Googling parts of the things they were talking about.
Perhaps, yeah.
I worry that I put her off and that she assumes I am seeing someone new. Do not worry about that, okay? This was her choice. You did nothing wrong here, okay? You aren't even seeing somebody new. You're just out with a friend. She has a habit of making up anxiously worst case scenarios and believing them or coming up with unrealistic ideas about things, and it breaks my heart that in no contact I cannot really communicate with her. You can't, and you got to leave that be. I was thinking to write her about 2 bills she received that are still outstanding at our old address and including the following. Okay, so he's looking for excuses to reach out about the bills. He's looking for an indirect direct. And then at the end of it, he was wanting a PS that you should try the e-scooters. They were great to show so-and-so's sister, my friend, around. So now he's looking for an excuse to clarify, I'm not moving on. Don't worry, I'm not moving on.
And I can also see there's a part of him that wants to rescue her from her own anxiety. You know, he's noting here, okay, she's a person who can spiral in her thoughts, and I don't want her to go there. Now she's decided to end the relationship, so she, in a way, lost that resource from you. She lost that support from you. So you have to have her experience whatever she spirals into, whatever anxiety that she experiences without you there, and that's part of the breakup. That's a natural consequence.
Yeah. If somebody ends the relationship with me, I am moving on, and I'm going to let them know. There's a reason I'm telling you guys that, because all this trying to take their anxiety away, then they don't have the consequence. She chose this. She chose to end the relationship. That means she's choosing to lose you. And that gives you the right to enter a relationship with whoever you want. And I want somebody to realize that. If they're not with me, then I'm going to look for somebody else that wants to be with me. Right? It's just how it works. All right. He says, just to give an indication that I'm open to reconnecting with her. I'm open. I want to call her to tell her if she changes her mind, contact me. You don't need to do that. If you have the opportunity to do it at some point, you can, but you don't break no contact to do that.
Right.
All right. So I'm just beating myself up that I may have squashed a tiny flower blossoming. No, you didn't do anything wrong. If she gets upset about it, you just say, I was just riding scooters with a friend. I don't understand. You're angry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you be angry? Right? I'm very tempted to send her that email about the bills from a magazine she needs to pay. It may be a good reason to reach out to attach a little message I drafted above that I was just with a friend. Again, I don't recommend that you do that. He goes on a little bit longer here about bills and stuff like that, and just kind of going into a lot of little details here that he was really just kind of obsessing too much. But, you know, I know he's working on the creative healing course. He's mentioning here at the end he's making great progress. That's great. Leave her be. Stop trying to force things. You're allowed to live your life. Live your life. Go out, have fun. Go out on scooters. It's a great time. They're a blast.
Right.
We had fun.
And I would be more hopeful. You know, she was receptive enough, it sounds like, at the game, albeit you did push yourself a little bit. You know, you might have forced the interaction a little bit there, but it sounds like she was receptive. So allow her that process. Allow her the opportunity to make her own decisions, to reach out to you, to have that initiative. I think it's going to be a lot more powerful if you do, and I'll say that over and over and over again.
That's right. Let her sit with the consequences of her decision. Stop trying to rescue her. Live your life and let her reach out when she's ready. Let her come over to you. Let her sit next to you at lunch. Stop letting your anxiety trying to force interactions. It usually makes things worse.
Right? And let Google Ads do the rest of the work.
Exactly. All right. So if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name in the top of the website to do that. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.